small percentage of people in America that have served. And to be a part of that tiny percentage, that's a good thing, you know? If everyone did it, it wouldn't be so special.
My brother enlisted in the United States Marine Corps in 2002, and I went to his graduation at Parris Island in Beaufort, South Carolina. And it was a very moving ceremony to watch him graduate. The Marine Corps really just made me feel like I should be giving to my country as well. At the time I was about 21 or 22 when I saw that graduation, and I was at a point in my life where I wasn't married, I didn't have children yet, and I thought the least I could do was give back to my country.
It was always in my, I don't know, it was in my nature. I don't know, when I was a child, I always grew up with war movies, and it always fascinated me, and I always wanted to do something exciting and adventurous. And you know, unfortunately, you know, not all my family agreed in my decision, but it was something I wanted since I was a little boy. And as soon as I hit high school, I would go right to the recruiters and start asking them questions about everything, just trying to get knowledge and understand what I was getting into.
I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for, you know, signing up and enlisting and saying, you know, I would do anything for this country that I possibly could. I think it gives you, you know, the Army specifically has core values that they follow, and integrity was huge for me, and it still is.
When I first came in, I was at 17 years old, so at that point you have to sign paperwork that says the parents have to sign you off because you're not officially legal age. And I was pretty adamant about it and was willing to get emancipated in order to have the paperwork signed.
I credit the military for really just developing me. Perseverance is huge. I think, you know, going through school, I started when I got out. I started at Finger Lakes Community College with 0 credit hours, and I went through school for 5.5 years and graduated with my master's. So, you know, I had a daughter during that time, and I was going through, you know, my bachelor's, transferred to Nazareth for my bachelor's, and going on right away a week later to get my master's, in an accelerated program in 1 year, doing an internship, raising my daughter. You know, it's a lot.
It was a challenge, and you know, sometimes still can be a challenge because some people don't always understand, you know, why would you want to do something like that. Being in the infantry is the beginning of everything when it comes to the military. Before there were cooks, before there was artillery, before there were medics, the only thing that started everything was the United States Army Infantry. And I wanted to be part of that proud tradition.
But I can tell you there were many days where I would think back to basic training, and I would think about those moments when you're on that 12-mile ruck march and it's pouring rain and you're soaked and your feet are hurting, you have blisters, and you just make it. You're exhausted, but you push through. And I compare that to days in, you know, graduate school, especially where you're exhausted, you're tired, and you have all these papers to do and taking care of my daughter, but somehow you push through and you persevere.
When you were deployed, things were different, things changed. I think the day that was probably the hardest was the day that I lost 2 of my friends on the 23rd of September 2006. It was one of those moments in your life where you realize that it finally set in that not everyone was coming home. And these people I knew very well. You know, one of the guys, you know, hours before everything happened, I was having a cup of coffee with him in the chow hall. And to know what they left a wife and beautiful kids, and it was hard for a lot of people. It was hard for what happened to them and how we didn't have a blame on a specific person. We couldn't find the person or find who activated the bomb. So there was a lot of aggravation, a lot of frustration. Even though it was hard, you learn a lot from it. You learn not just about them, but you learn about yourself. And I learned that sometimes life is short. A lot of us vets, when we're over there, we don't think about our own lives, if we're going to die, if we're going to live. It's worrying about the guy to the left and right of you.
Just the most challenging and the most difficult time when I was in was unfortunately watching quite a few people in my unit commit suicide. and a couple units next to me had a lot of stuff going on as well. And to see people that, and also in basic training, I lost a guy in my platoon later on. He had served 3 tours over in Iraq, and he came back, and we were told he took his life. So watching people you train with and serve with and know that they're facing stuff like that, and it's hard.
Suicide rate in the military is extremely high right now, and some people don't understand what's actually going on, the method behind the madness, as you could say. And it's a shame sometimes because we tend to fill people with medication and other avenues that don't help the situation, but just put a Band-Aid over it. And I always tell people, I'm like, part of the best therapy I have is actually being with the ones that my brothers in arms.
The best part, I think, was the camaraderie of, meeting a lot of people I still stay in touch with. That's where you credit social media sites like Facebook and stuff like that, seeing how everyone's doing. I developed a lot of great friendships. Some of my best friends are from the day one of basic training till now. I think the best part also is developing just who I am today.
John 15:13, said it best. There's no greater love than give one's life for one's friend. We never give up on each other. And the hardest of times, that's when we realize who we are, what makes us different, in a good way.
When I was at my unit, we were scheduled to deploy. I was injured stateside, but going through the time up to before I was injured, you're getting told every day, we're going to leave tomorrow. And get packed, ready to go, tell your families goodbye, and you'd show up at the flight deck and, okay, we're not going to go today. We're going to push it back another week. And so trying to, the hurry up and wait slogan is a huge thing in the military. Hurry up, and then you get somewhere and you wait hours, if not days. We even did that with trainings, stateside that we did. Show up at a flight deck, oh, no, we're going to go tomorrow. And then it would just keep, so the frustration of really not ever knowing for sure until the last minute, but that was the thing. It teaches you to be prepared.
You learn not to think negatively always on all the bad things that happen, and kind of have some sense of humor to it. Especially if no one got hurt. Like when we would have things happen, we'd have engagements, or trucks would get blown up, or we get shot at. If no one got hurt, we would always make a joke out of it. I remember we would get hit with IEDs a lot. Pretty much weekly. And next minute we would hear on the radio, everyone's good. And like, all right, whose truck was it? And then they would say the number, like Charlie 4, and usually whoever team's responsible has to take it to the motor pool, and everyone's like, They're like, because you got blown tires, armor has to get replaced. It's just a nightmare. So you can't go back and relax. You got to take it to the motor pool.
You hear people talk and complain about certain things in life, little things, and I had just gotten out and lost quite a few friends to suicide, whether it was stateside or serving in Iraq or Afghanistan. So your perspective on life is very different, and when you come back and you realize it's very challenging to kind of understand where some people are coming from and realize that their problems are legitimate concerns as well, but you also you lose people fighting for their country. It puts things definitely into perspective.
Some people were worried about what type of purse they were going to buy, or do these shoes match my outfit? I had a lot of trouble adjusting to that because I've seen that a lot, and I realized how meaningless it all was. And I started reevaluating things that were more important. And one of the biggest things that was important to me after being with them was family.
So getting out, it was fun to have that freedom, but it was definitely a challenge not knowing, okay, well, today I'm going to show up and have this formation, and I'm going to do this. You really didn't know. It was really up to me to make those decisions every day. So it was taking what I learned in the military and applying that, which could be hard.
There's some men, honestly, that just never came home. In reality, never came home. And I understand that, so that's why I like to be there to help them out. Even in the littlest things. You can do little things that go a long way with these vets. And I've been very adamant about it. And now, here at RIT, our goal is to start a Veterans Club. By the time I leave this school, my goal is to have a room, to have a legitimate club, to have a name for ourselves, and to leave a legacy that says veterans are not going away, and we want you to come in. We haven't forgot about you. That's the thing sometimes, like having these clubs and having these places make you realize that we have not forgotten about what you've done.
Listening to people every day talk about, you see these vets come in, men especially, and they look on the exterior in the lobby, you see them and they approach you and they look all tough, and they get in your office and you talk to them for an hour, and it's amazing what they've experienced. And a lot of times they'll say to you, this is the first time, Vietnam era veterans saying to you, this is the first time I've ever told anybody this. And it was empowering for me to know that they felt comfortable to share that stuff with me and know that there was somebody that cared enough to listen. And I knew at that point it solidified for me that I know this is where I'm supposed to be. It was my passion. It's
hard sometimes making that first step. You see a lot of veterans that, I ain't gonna go to counseling, I don't want to do this and I don't want to do that. Well, I was one of those people too. And I realized, like, sometimes being stubborn doesn't get you where you need to be. It's a way of educating yourself on who you are and learning from the experiences you've had and trying to be able to cope with them properly and not make the wrong choices.
And so when I graduated, I knew the Veterans Outreach Center. I obviously had heard about them, knew what their mission was, and I said, what a great place to start. And that's really how I ended up here. And I have great staff that I work with, a lot of support here, and I think everyone here is here for the same mission and supporting and serving our vets. And I'm still doing what I would, in the military. I still feel, in a way, connected to that.
The government calls us to go do things that maybe we don't always agree upon. But someone's gonna have to do it regardless. And the question is, do you want it to happen at your doorstep? People in America sometimes take things for granted when it comes to their daily living. They complain about corrupt cops and this and that. Talk about corrupt cops there placing bombs on businesses, or a kid doesn't have to worry about getting hit by a car crossing the street. You have to worry about not getting shot by the sniper on top of the building.
I respect anyone who's stood up for this country, and for those before us, those currently serving, and those who will come and serve. It gives you an appreciation to be here every day.
I always say, I see World War II vets and Vietnam vets and Korean vets, and every time I see them, they always say to me, thank you for your service. I say, no, thank you, because if you didn't do your job, I wouldn't be able to do mine.